Hey Pitmasters, welcome to another episode. Today we will be grilling this beautiful steak. Now we're going to start with our butter. This is unsalted butter at room temperature. We're going to put it in a bowl. You can see how soft it is. Now to this we're going to add some really nice fresh herbs. I want to add some chives. You want to chop this really fine so we don't get too much texture in our butter. So this is around a tablespoon of fine chopped chives. Then I want to add some flat leaf parsley as well. So this is around the same amount that we put in chives. And we also want to add some rosemary. So I'm just gonna take the twig, and this is fresh rosemary, so we don't have the wooden stalk. But we're gonna strip off the leaves. Now with the rosemary we gotta be extra careful to chop it really fine. Look at how fine this is. It's almost like fine salt. We're just gonna add a little bit of garlic, and it's gotta be fine chopped as well. So I'm really slicing this thin. So add the garlic. There we go. Now we're going to add some salt, and I'm using Madon salt, and I'm going to add 2 pinches. I'm also going to add some fresh ground black pepper. And now we're going to mix this up. So I'm taking this foil and we're going to turn this in a nice roll. Now we're going to put the butter on the foil. So the trick is to compress this until it's completely round. So we'll put this in the freezer and we let it in there for around 10 to 20 minutes until it's really hardened up. Now we'll start working on our garlic mushrooms. And I have these beautiful tiny mushrooms. So of course we need something to go with these mushrooms. And I'm using fresh garlic. We're just gonna peel out off the outer layer of the whole bulb. We'll cut that in half and start our chopping. Look at that, that's a nice amount of garlic, right? Now we're also gonna chop fine some of this parsley. I'm using stalks and all because this is going inside our dish, so we can use a little bit of extra power. Now we don't want to chop the flat leaf parsley too fine because we want to see some of it back in our dish. I added a chunk of beech tree, that's really going to give us that wood fire flavor. Now we can start putting on our ingredients. We're going to put some olive oil on. And then we're going to add our mushrooms. Spread them out on the half moon. We're also going to put on our garlic and parsley. A little bit more olive oil. At the same time we're going to put on our steak. Look at this beauty. Grass-fed Irish beef. And we're going to put this on the lower grill grate. We're also going to add some tomatoes. Look at these beauties. Put these on. We want to check on our steak. Look at that. Now we have some of this butter left over. Add that butter to this dish. I'm going to take up the mushrooms in a minute. Wow, beautiful. Okay, we're going to get the steak off before it burns. Get a lot of heat on the steak. And we're just going to put this in a cold pan. We took our steak off the direct heat and we put it in a cold cast iron pan. Together with our mushrooms and our tomatoes. we're going to set it to warm up over indirect heat. I heated up the butter that we just created and I'm going to drizzle it over our steak. I'm closing the bottom vent to almost all the way closed. And I'm doing the same to the top vent. This will give it a chance to really slowly cook the steak. To make sure that we get an even cook on our steak, we're going to flip it around. This way it will cook even on both sides. So we're just going to check on the temperature to see if we're at the right temperature. Poke it in, make sure you got it in the middle. 54 degrees Celsius. So that's about right. Take this pan off the grill. Now we're going to put the pan to the side. And we're going to get the steak out of the pan because we'll want to let it rest, and it doesn't rest in a hot pan. If you look into this pan, you can see all these juices from the olive oil that we put in, juices from the steak that we grilled, from the mushrooms and the tomatoes. Now what better way to get out some bread and dip into it. So while resting the steak, we're going to also add salt. A little bit of salt on the mushroom and tomatoes, and a little bit of salt on the steak. I'm taking the meat off the bone, and then we're going to slice into the steak. Wow, this steak is tender, look at that. Let's take a look at a piece. Now how about that? Look at how juicy that is. Look at how tender. And that's almost no force. Oh. Well, let's unwrap this butter. Look at it. A nice shape. There we go. Now, you can slice these into thin strips. So we take a little bit of our butter, we take a little bit of our mushrooms, and we take a little bit of a tomato, and look at how soft it is. They're absolutely beautiful, slightly roasted. And then I want a piece of steak that has a little bit of fat on it. Garlic, mushrooms and tomatoes. There we go. Okay, you know, I eat a lot of steak and I was amazed about how tender this steak was. It really is super tender. I love that. The garlic mushrooms, I've eaten them a lot of times before. My wife loves them. They taste really good. And then roasted tomatoes always taste good. But when you put all of these ingredients together in one pan and let the fluids sit at that bottom, and you take a little bit of bread and put all these ingredients together, you have a dish to die for. This really is delicious. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, and until then, eet smakelijk. I'm gonna finish this steak.